Hi, folks. Just wanted to give you a quick rundown of what this week has looked like, just in case you haven't been able to catch up. So again, these are all hyperlinked to the actual Google Classroom. So you could just click on this link for Thursday, and it'll bring you over here. So for the first part of Thursday, we did our video discussion from that film, Don't Panic. If you haven't watched the film yet, you can click on it here. It is an hour long, but it's actually really well done. And I think at least they do a pretty good job kind of keeping you entertained. And then along with the video, we have our virtual discussion. I've seen several of you participate in this, but if you haven't already, you can add one question or like a prompt, and then you should respond to two other people's questions as well. You should put your name first in bold so we know where the comments are coming from. And then, yeah, feel free to add to any of these that you see here, and then to make your own questions as well. Let's see. And then Thursday, we also started playing around with this Gapminder website. So these are actually some of the tools that, that are shown in that Don't Panic video. So if you click that link, it'll bring you right over here. And so first things first, like really nice to just sort of play around with this if you haven't seen it yet. Well, this isn't very helpful. Let's just do income. I think this is usually how it starts. Life expectancy. And you can actually change, as you can see, you could change the X and Y axis to any sort of variable that you want, which is pretty fun. You can also make it log or linear if you want to do that. And then you actually can use this scroll bar at the bottom to move through time. So you can actually see how individual countries change. And you'll notice the colors here reference what region of the world you're in, right? So Asia in red, Africa in blue there, the Americas in green, and Europe in yellow. And then the size of the the size of the circles represents the population. So as the circles get bigger, it shows a larger population. So these two big ones are obviously India and China. And if you want to track a specific country, you actually can just click on it. And then as you move through time, it'll follow that specific country. So we can see going back in history, China's circles getting smaller and smaller as there's fewer and fewer people going back in time. The really cool part about clicking one of the circles is that it actually will map out the path through time. So if I click play here, we can see the years kind of increasing, and then it's actually plotting the path that China is taking as far as how income changes per person, right? Whether we are a more wealthy nation or a poorer nation, and then how life expectancy changes as well. You might see sometimes when there's less data, so it might be a little bit less accurate. But as we can see here, we have the Cultural Revolution, which should happen pretty soon. And then China will start developing. Here we go, life expectancy increasing, and then income is increasing as China moves into one of the more developed nations in the world. And then we're ending up here where you guys are really close to being one of the most developed nations in the world. So you can click however many countries you want. Maybe you want to compare China to another country nearby, or perhaps you could compare, I wonder if they have, let's just see. Hey, you could do North Korea and South Korea. You might compare how those two countries have developed since the Korean War has changed their sort of political situation. So feel free just to like click around. There's also some other graphs and things you can play with. And then we developed some really basic research questions. So you can also add a comment if you come up with a research question. But you can add those here. So the research questions are actually part of class for today. Before that, if you haven't watched this video, just a brief little lecture that I give on different measurements for population, population demographics in general, etc. Let's see, and then so for today, we started by trying to answer a few of those research questions. So for example, we could take a look at Jay's. I thought Jay had a really interesting question. So he was looking at Nigeria. Let's go back here and let's click Nigeria only. Great. And I'm gonna unclick these other ones. And if you wanted to actually get rid of the rest of the countries, you can actually just erase them with this little button here. So Jay was looking at how Nigeria was developing through time. Let's see, we'll start about here. And so he noticed in 1918, there was a huge drop. Look at that. So this is life expectancy, how long each person is expected to live on average. So we can see now in 1921, the life expectancy is about 36 years old. That's pretty low. That means on average, people live to be about 36. Some might be older, some might be younger. But then in 1918, it dropped significantly to only 16.9. The average life expectancy was less than 17 years. Crazy, something really intense must have happened in 1918. So in this case, we're actually gonna just have to do a little Google. So let's just type in Nigeria 1918 and see what comes up. Oh, and it already tries to automatically fill it. What happened in 1918? Oh, the Spanish flu pandemic, the deadliest in history. Infected some 500 million people worldwide, about a third of the planet's population, killing somewhere between 20 and 50 million. So that's exactly what we saw here in Nigeria, a huge decrease in life expectancy as the Spanish flu swept through the country. You might have another question, like, do you see this big change in life expectancy in other countries in 1918? That'd be a really good one to answer. So choose a couple, try to answer those research questions, and then you can just take a screenshot and then wait a few seconds to show how you answered it. So if you don't know how to do a screenshot, at least on a Mac, you do Command-Shift-4, and then it gives you this little camera button, and you can actually choose what you want to take a picture of. So you just highlight it, and then you let go, and then you hear a camera sound. It takes the picture. Pretty cool. So do that for 3 questions or so. And then the last part of today is just some practice problems with doing some different calculations on populations, demographics, etc. So this is related to the lecture that I did in the video, but there's also an additional slideshow here, which covers details about how to actually do the calculations. So if you're kind of confused, click on this link here, and then it'll actually go through how to calculate population density, how to calculate crude birth rates and crude death rates, how to calculate natural increase rate, and then doubling time. Doubling time, as well as total fertility rates. The practice problems look sort of like this, a lot of word problems. Please show your work. You can just actually type out the equations you're doing. So for this first one, we want to do population density. So that's equal to the total population divided by the total land area. A little trick I do. So population density is a measure of population per unit area. And so an easy way to remember how to divide this is to just take this word per and replace it with a divided sign. So you'll notice we do total population, total population divided by total land area. So divided by area. Another way to think about this is if you're measuring velocity or speed, we measure that in kilometers per hour. So to calculate what your speed is, you'll do total kilometers and total hours, and then you just replace that word per with a divided sign. Total kilometers divided by total hours equals kilometers per hour. So just a little trick in case you're forgetting. So in this case, we'll do total population divided by total land area. So to show your work, you can just actually type that right in. Total population is 1,270 divided by total area, 830. Feel free to use a calculator on this. You're not expected to do it in your head, but that should give you an answer that says deer per kilometer squared. If you want to do that square button, you actually can click this format button here. And we'll click text, and you actually can go to superscript. See my cursor popped up there. So I did kilometers squared. And then we'll just go and turn it off. There we go. You'll notice there's also a shortcut here, right? Command period or command comma. So while I'm typing, I can do regular text. I can do superscript text. Oops, hello. Or I can actually do subscript text, hello. So that's really nice if you're trying to type a formula like H2O. You can make it look really fancy. Great, so that's totally fine for showing your work. Make sure you include units too. Feel free to shoot me an email if you have any questions. I should be around for the weekend, so I could take a look at that. Otherwise, I'll talk to you guys Monday night at 10:30 China time. Have a great weekend.